News and information 570 AM.
96.3 FM HD2. KLIF Dallas. KSCS FM HD2 Fort Worth. KLIF.com.
A Cumulus station.
Now, from the 5th floor Cumulus Studios in downtown Dallas, it's time for Inside Real Estate. Here's your host, Michael Kruizinga.
Good morning, DFW Metroplex. This is Mike Kruizinga, your local DFW area realtor. This is Inside Real Estate. Thanks for tuning in. Going to be talking all things real estate today, mortgage, insurance, home, life, and maybe a dash of some sports and entertainment to round things out. Going to be taking calls. So if you want to call in today at all during any of the segments, if you want to ask us questions about real estate, insurance, mortgage, anything related, 888-787-KLIF, 888-787-KLIF, 5543 on the back four. Website, InsideRealEstateRadio.com, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. If you want to connect with us, you can do so there. Connect with all of our partners. And if you want to be a part of the show or advertise on the show, you can, of course, hit us right there on the website, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. So what do we got going on today, folks? We've got 8:15. We got Insurance Talk with J.C. Harder of J.C. Harder Goosehead Insurance Agency. And then we're going to be talking to Terry Wagner of Supreme Lending Rockwall later in the show in the bottom half. We're going to talk some real estate news, what's going on, latest and greatest in real estate here in the DFW area. We're going to be talking apps. That's right, apps, APPS. And we're going to do a little title talk. What is a public improvement district? We're going to be talking about that. Millennium title talk. Also, we're going to be discussing a couple other real estate topics. You know, should you use an agent that is related to you by blood or a close friend? It's a good question. We hear that all the time, and we're going to talk about that. And then when you're listing, you know, things to consider when you are listing, how to prepare for that, and when you're interviewing agents, you know, things to consider, things to discuss with that agent. I had a couple interesting stories that brought those topics up, so we'll talk about those as well. So let's kind of get going here. We usually start with a little bit of this day in history. Today is August 23rd, and so let's go back in time for a quick second. I'm going to go back all the way to 1305. William Wallace was executed for high treason. Most of you know that name from Braveheart, the great movie there. He was hung, drawn, and quartered. Poor William Wallace. Way back in 1305 this day. How about 1821? Mexico declared independence. And the next day, Spain accepted that independence. Spanish Viceroy Juan de O'Donoghue signed the Treaty of Cordoba that day, the next day, going all the way back to 1821. You know, that was some 40-odd years after our independence. You know, we kind of forget that Mexico was working on its own independence from Spain as we were working on ours from the UK. Now I finish up with a little sports this day in history, as I usually like to do. And we're going to go back to 1970. Roberto Clemente, one of the all-time great baseball players, he had his second straight 5-hit game. And I was going back in time, doing a little bit of research on Roberto Clemente, you know, one of my favorite players from old days. Man alive, he was good. 12 Golden Gloves, 15-time All-Star, had a lifetime batting average of .318. This guy was just an unbelievable player, but not only on the field was he amazing, he was amazing off the field as well. Originally, the Commissioner's Award went to those players that did great things off the field, and a couple years later, it was renamed the Roberto Clemente Award, and to this day is still named after him. Many of you may remember that he went down in a plane crash way back when he was trying to help the earthquake victims of Nicaragua. And he had actually helped pack and send 3 shipments down there to Nicaragua, but the planes had been diverted because there was a lot of corruption down there. And so on the 4th flight, which was on a New Year's Eve, he actually went on the flight himself, hoping to be on the plane to actually get it where it was supposed to be going, to help the folks down there in that earthquake. And it went down that night after takeoff. So very unfortunate. And but what a great player he was off the field and on the field, and just a great guy. And so I wanted to bring that to life. That's this day in history. So, folks, let's get into a little bit of real estate talk. And here's a great question for you. Should you use an agent that is related to you to help you as the buyer or the seller, or a really good friend? And, the answer to that question is complicated. It depends on the relative that depends on their personality. Are they the type of personality that gets really emotional or not? Or are they very calm, cool, and collected? Because that really does matter. And it also depends on, do you feel like that relationship is more important than potentially something blowing up in this deal and ruining that relationship going forward? We all had somebody in our family that gave us some advice, most of us have, and said, don't mix family and business. And that is great, great advice. Had a situation that had come up. Buyer's agent was the grandmother of the buyers, the young buyers. And her personality was that she was very emotional. And, folks, when you're buying and selling a home, the process gets very, very emotional. The sellers may have lived in that home a few years or 20, 30 years, maybe more. In any case, they've maybe had a marriage in this property. They've raised kids in this property. There's an emotional attachment to this property. And so selling it is difficult. And, of course, the buyers may come in and they may say they like this, they don't like this. They possibly can insult the sellers in some way. And the buyers are thinking, this is a home. This is just a house. It's going to be our future home. But right now it's just a house. That it doesn't have the same meaning that it does to the seller. So it's very emotional. Now, of course, on the buyer side, the buyer and seller, they want to get to that same point. Seller wants to sell their house. Buyer wants to buy a house. They have that common goal, but how they get there is totally different. It totally opposite ends. Seller wants to sell it for what they want to sell it for. They want as few concessions as possible. They want to sell it as is. The buyer wants to get some money off the sales price. They want to negotiate, maybe haggle a little bit. Maybe some repairs done. They want, and the seller doesn't want to give. So how do you get there? Well, that's where you need the agents. You need impartial real estate agents that are calm, cool, and collected, representing both parties. And if you've got an agent who is related to one of the parties, sometimes they can get emotionally involved, and they should not. And it's understandable. You're related by blood. Or you're a good friend. You want to get them taken care of, your client taken care of. But when they're also related, or it's a really close friend, it's kind of over and beyond. And so the emotional factor starts to come in there. And so when that comes into play, if you're an agent, you're not really representing your client very well. Had a situation, buyer's agent, like I said, grandmother of the young kids, and she got really, really emotional. And instead of acting like a business professional and keeping a calm, cool head and navigating the process for her client, she became emotional, broke down, became very erratic, and just did not represent the client very well, and to the point where the deal almost died altogether. Calmer heads always prevail. Calm, cool, collected heads always prevail. But when you're so emotionally attached, it makes it difficult for you to see what's going on. And so, should you use an agent that is a family member? I would say no, by and large, because it can be difficult for them to not be emotionally attached. Now, if they're the type of person that's business, they're going to take care of you, they're going to take care of your needs, and be calm, cool, and collected, and be a business professional about it, then absolutely, by all means, yeah, you want to give business to a family member if you can, if they're that type of person. You know them best. You've probably had Thanksgiving dinner with them. You know what they're going to do. If they're calm, cool, collected, absolutely use them. Now, how about a friend, a really close friend? Well, same situation applies. You know them really well. If they can be calm, cool, and collected, well, absolutely use them. If not, then don't. Don't think, folks, that you're going to insult them automatically by not using them. You can flat out say, look, I don't like to mix business with family, and that is a great policy. I've tried to do that in my entire life, and it's worked well for me. And you just have to be upfront and honest with folks. Hey, I would love to use you, but I feel like potentially if something goes south, our relationship could go south. And you know what? Our relationship is more important than that piece of business, and they'll understand that, and they will respect that. So, all right, folks, hopefully that helped you. Should you use an agent related or a relative? And you know what, folks, we're going to talk insurance when we get back with J.C. Harder. Folks, it's Inside Real Estate with Mike Kruizinga. We'll be back in a few.
The J.C. Harder Insurance Agency in Uptown Dallas has nearly unlimited resources when it comes to getting you the best insurance rates and policies for home, auto, and more. As part of the Goosehead Insurance brand, you, the consumer, have the power of choice through the J.C. Harder Insurance Agency Network. For a quote today on all your insurance needs, stop by J.C.'s office on McKinney Avenue in Uptown Dallas. Call 214-643-6108 or visit jcharderagency.com. That's 214-643-6108 or jcharderagency.com.
Sellers, how would you like your home sold guaranteed? Buyers, how would you like your bid guaranteed to win? Well, it's real simple. Call Mike Kruizinga with Chris Arnold Premier Realty and ask about their guarantee programs for both buyers and sellers. No one beats Mike's professional listing and marketing services for all price ranges, including luxuries and ranches. And few have the knowledge and patience to take first-time buyers from renting to home ownership in a tough market. Visit DFWMetroplexRealestate.com and mention you heard this on the radio. And listen to Mike Sundays, 8 a.m. on KLIF for Inside Real Estate.
All right, folks, welcome back to Inside Real Estate with Mike Kruizinga. It's time to head into insurance talk again. We've got J.C. Harder from the J.C. Harder Goosehead Insurance Agency live in studio. Phone number where their folks are always standing by, 214-808-0748. Website is jcharderagency.com, jcharderagency.com. J.C., welcome back to the studio.
Good morning, Mike. Thanks for having me. Excited to be back.
Good. Well, let's get on into it. Let's get some insurance talk going.
All right. Let's talk about that dreaded word. Sometimes they work out well. Sometimes, they can be a headache. But let's talk about claims and just kind of some recommendations we have that our agency, basically practices, and, we could help out, just being a broker and, we want to be a true consultant or a concierge opposed to just representing the carriers we write for. So we want to play a good middleman and make sure, both interests are protected and done correctly. So specifically, in the event of a claim, my first recommendation is to, call us and, talk about the situation. Now, the reason why I say that is we can review deductibles. We can review what's covered, what's not covered. And more importantly, as a independent agent or a broker, those are not going to go down as a $0 claim inquiry, where with your captive agencies, where they only represent one company, they basically have to record those as a $0 increase or $0 inquiry.
I got you. And so this is a great point because, in all honesty, and that's why I tell you folks every single week, JC and Patty, they really do care. and they do want to take the time to figure out what's going on with your situation, and not just to earn your business, where that's where most agents pay the most attention to you, is right when they're trying to get your business. JC and Patty actually care through the entire process of the relationship, hopefully a long-lasting, multi-year relationship. And so when something does happen to you, they're going to be there to listen to you and help you get through it versus saying, don't make that claim.
Exactly, Mike. So let's talk about, roof claim, hail claim specifically, since we are here in North Texas and we have so many of them. These roofers come from everywhere once a storm hits. So, take advantage of them as far as, getting a quote. They should all be free quotes. Make sure you're asking that up front. But there's no harm in letting, 3 to 5 different roofing companies hop up there, see how much they're similar in their quotes, or, one might be emphasizing something else where another is not. So really, get a handful of estimates there. And again, we always want you to do that before actually starting a claim. So, if you meet with 1 or 2 and it's totaled, then obviously we'll start that claim as soon as possible and get you an adjuster set up. But it always, there's those situations where it might be a minor repair and it might be better to fix out of pocket opposed to getting the insurance involved.
Exactly. And it depends on your deductibles, folks, on your policy. And yeah, if it's a repair, especially if it's below the deductible, then obviously you just want to cover that on your own, or even if it's just barely above the deductible by a short margin, probably better to just go ahead and cover that out of pocket versus making the claim. But again, that's why JC is going to actually, put on his, well, what if this happened to me hat, and actually care about your situation and help you figure it out.
Absolutely. And, I've had to really work with underwriters, especially like with our investors. They might have 4 houses in, let's say, Rockwall County. Rockwall gets hit. That's 4 roofs, 4 claims they're going to have to make. So later on, that's going to affect, future business or future new home purchase business. And, we can really talk with the adjusters and just shed light on that. And again, they're just going to advise us, as long as they're not calling every time the wind blows, then, we'll happily take them as a customer, because It is an act of God claim or a catastrophic claim. It's out of your control. They just don't want to see consistency, or, they don't want to see, every time the wind blows, you're making a claim call. Exactly.
And a lot of folks do try to take advantage sometimes of the insurance system, where every time a storm comes through, it's like, oh, free roof time. And that really hurts the entire Metroplex when they do that, because it can cause rates to go up to a degree. So, insurance is there when you need it, folks, if you've got it, and you want to make sure you've got the right type of insurance, but it's not there to be taken advantage of for sure. But being with JC and Patty, you're going to be taken care of when something does happen.
Absolutely. Now we can shift away from more of the weather claims to more like plumbing related, or, theft, vandalism. They call these non-cat claims. So these are the ones that have a little more effect on your premiums. If you do, have to make it. And again, by all means, that's why you have insurance. So if you need to claim something, obviously, I have positive claim stories too. I just want to give you some recommendations as a broker, basically. So on those non-cat claims, really, again, talk to your agent, make sure you're getting, an estimates, or, start, if it's a theft, start adding up your value. If there was $1,000 of electronics stolen and you have a 1% or $2,000 deductible, well, then obviously I'm going to tell you, we can't make this claim, but it's not going to affect you for 3 to 5 years. Whereas if you did call a captive agency or agent, they have to write that down as $0 claim.
Again, folks, I hope you're hearing what he's saying, because there's a huge difference in what he is able to offer, he and Patty at the J.C. Harder Goosehead Insurance Agency, versus your typical agency out there in DFW, and honestly nationally. There's a huge difference in what he can offer if you're paying attention, folks.
Let's go back to getting those estimates, before filing a claim. Once you do, it is for sure that we do need to make a claim, and you have someone that you hit it off with, or, you really liked, whether if it's a plumber or a roofer or whatnot. A benefit with that is after an adjuster is signed from the insurance carrier, you already know who you want to work with in a sense, so they can actually meet you out. They can meet the adjuster to assess the damage together, and they can go over their notes like, this is what I noticed, and, just overall help you as a client with a better claims process.
Exactly. And of course, the contractor, for whatever the issue may be, they see different things and assess different values. And of course, the adjuster assesses different values. So when they can work together and come up with the right numbers to take care of everybody, that's a great situation.
Last couple pieces, we want to talk about how a big common misconception is that, a home warranty versus an insurance carrier. I recommend home warranties to everyone, whether if you're a current homeowner or, hopefully if you're a new homeowner that's worked into a contract, if, especially if you're working with Mike, so he can get you that warranty from the seller. But I push those, every single year. Don't let it lapse or don't let it renew after that first year that it was paid for. It is worth the money. Personally, I've used, I had a home warranty come out probably 7 times to the first home that I owned because of an AC unit. And there was one, $60 service fee, and ended up at the very end getting pretty much a brand new air conditioner. So where the definition insurance-wise is insurance does not cover wear and tear or, things getting old or things to, stop working. So especially with the ACs and the heat we have here in the area, if your AC stops working, you don't call your insurance, to get a new AC. You want to call your home warranty. So, again, that can be, plumbing related too. And another reason why I push those home warranties is because if you can get it fixed through them, that does not affect your insurance premium for that 3 to 5 year of a clue report or claim history.
Exactly. And yeah, folks, I mean, what JC's talking about with these home warranties, when we're buying a property, helping you buy a property, we can build that into the contract and negotiate with the seller to purchase one for us. And a lot of times they have one on the property in advance anyway. So we can take care of that, take advantage of it during that first year. But it's usually $400 to maybe $1,000 or more, depending on what type of home warranty coverage you want, whether you have a pool, septic system, etc., add-ons. But they are great, especially here in Texas with the AC. Now, these home warranties do not cover pre-existing conditions, but once you get into the house, let's say you have a dishwasher and that dishwasher is working, and then as long as you have your home warranty in place and it breaks down, then they can come out and look at it and get it repaired. Now, of course, home warranties have various stipulations about certain things in the home, but these are great supplements to it's almost a supplement to insurance to take care of a lot of these things, and so that way it won't impact your insurance rates moving forward. And hey, folks, for maybe $400 a year for the average house, $400 to $500 a year, a home warranty is a great idea.
Yes, and what that does is, again, we've been talking about, CAT claims or, act of God claims versus these, other claims. And typically almost every insurance company out there goes back 5 years on your search. Some of them, are a little less and only go back 3. But either way, that's, we just want you to go through these recommendations and, more importantly, use me and Patty as with our agency. And we'll make sure to, claim anything and everything that you need and want that would benefit you, but will also keep you from making these small rinky-dink claims that will just hurt your situation for the next 3 to 5 years.
Exactly. All right, folks, it's been J.C. Harder of the J.C. Harder Goosehead Insurance Agency. Website, jcharderagency.com, jcharderagency.com. Phone number where they're always standing by, 214-808-0748. Folks, if you haven't figured it out, JC is the real deal. He cares about you. His wife, Patty, cares about you. They care about your situation. Give him a call for all your insurance needs. We'll be back with him next week for the insurance segment. Hey, folks, it's been Mike Kruizinga on Inside Real Estate. We will be back in a few seconds.
Millennium Title Carroll PC Real Estate is a unique multi-service real estate title, law, and real estate investment firm that handles over 150 commercial and residential closings each month. Their real estate, legal, and tax services range from purchases to refinances to short sales and reverse mortgages. They can handle all of your real estate, legal, and tax planning needs. Their experience offers clients and investors a comprehensive perspective in managing their real estate, law, and investment needs. Visit txtitleattorney.com. That's txtitleattorney.com or call 817-310-0136.
With decades of experience, the Rocky Martin Supreme Lending Team will work to close your home loan in 30 days or less. With access to the most competitive interest rates, the most financing options, and the most access to down payment assistance programs, the Rocky Martin Team won't be beating service to you for all your mortgage needs, including purchase and refinance. Trust RockyMartin.com and his team for their reliable and fast loan process. Go to RockyMartin.com or call 972-772-1866 today.
For housing lender, NMLS ID number 211-731-6730, Horizon Road, Suite B, Heath, Texas 75032.
Millennium Title Carroll PC Real Estate is a unique multi-service real estate title, law, and real estate investment firm that handles over 150 commercial and residential closings each month. Their real estate, legal, and tax services range from purchases to refinances to short sales and reverse mortgages. They can handle all of your real estate, legal, and tax planning needs. Their experience offers clients and investors a comprehensive perspective in managing their real estate, law, and investment needs. Visit txtitleattorney.com. That's txtitleattorney.com or call 817-310-0136.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey, folks, Mike Kruizinga here. We're back Inside Real Estate. That was J.C. Harder from the J.C. Harder Goosehead Insurance Agency right there in Uptown, just a stone's throw away from my office in Uptown. And we always love talking to J.C., so thank you, J.C. So let's get back into some real estate, a couple business items here. Hey, I had a price drop on one of my listings over in Arlington. I wanted to mention this because I've got a great little property over there, 1114 Two-Lane Drive, North Arlington, just north of I-30. And we had a $10,000 price drop. It's down to $189,900. Great little property. It's a single story. It's all updated flooring, carpet, tile, etc. Got updated appliances in the kitchen. Has a great sunroom off the master with an elevated deck, hot tub area. So it's great for that come home in the evening after work and soak the tired back and feet. And then also has a great little patio area that is accessible off the master as well as accessible off the living area. Very nice trees, well established neighborhood, mature trees, great little property. Price drop $10,000 down to $189,900. Great little property. So I wanted to mention that. And let's talk apps. Had some pretty awesome news. I mentioned this a couple weeks ago that I've been in works with a company out in California, a tech development company out there in California to develop my real estate app. And we finally got it launched Friday. It's on both the Android and the Apple formats. So one thing you can look for is when you go into your app store, you can just type in DFW Metroplex Real Estate. DFW Metroplex Real Estate. You can type that into the App Store query zone there, the search zone, and it's either on Apple or Droid. It's in both of them. And it should pop up as either number 1 or number 2. And DFW Metroplex Real Estate, you can download that. And this gives you up-to-the-minute access to all the latest and greatest listing information here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And so when you have a question about a property, you can hit the button, call Mike. You can email Mike, and or you can text me. And you can send me questions about any of the properties that you see here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And so it's just another way for you guys to connect to me. And guess what? It doesn't have pop-up ads. It doesn't have any advertising on it. It's simple. It's easy to use. And it's got exactly what you're looking for, which is the information about the properties. So if you're out and about looking, it's got map features. You can do all kinds of things with this thing. And just give me a buzz if you have any questions about that. So DFW Metroplex Real Estate is the app. So you can plug that into your phone and connect with me at all times. And so I want to talk to the agents out there and folks that if you're in the industry out there, this company, they put together these apps, and it's pretty complex. I mean, you see a lot of apps out there that are very, basic or whatever. And so you're like, oh, okay, anybody can do an app. But when you're talking about a complex app that's feeding the kind of real estate information that we're feeding into it, that's complicated. And these guys did an amazing job on this app. And they build these things for all kinds of large companies. And so I wanted to talk to everybody a little bit about that. So if you need somebody out there, it's snaprealestate.com is the website, and that's 2 P's and snaprealestate.com. And so I just want to talk a little bit about that platform. It allows real estate agents to have their own branded and native mobile apps for both formats. Honestly, it's not really a matter of if or when. The mobile revolution is here, and if you're not catering to it out there, it's a proven fact. Mobile apps are about 60% more used than the computers and et cetera. And so these things are highly used. So, folks, if you're in the industry, real estate, if you're in our industry at all, or if you're in an industry that caters to a consumer in any way, shape, form, or fashion, honestly, you need to get yourself an app out there, and this company is an amazing company to do that for you. You can connect with them at my website, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. All the contact information is there. Their website is snaprealestate.com, but they do more than just real estate apps. Again, that's snaprealestate.com with 2 P's. So that's that. So check out the app, DFW Metroplex Real Estate, and you can get that in Android or Apple. So I wanted to get to a little bit of title talk, and as y'all know, Nancy Carroll with Millennium Title and Carroll PC Real Estate is our exclusive real estate attorney and closing offices partner. Their website is txtitleattorney.com, txtitleattorney.com, and their phone number 817-310-0136, 817-310-0136. Wanted to do a little segment for those guys. We're going to talk about what are public improvement districts, and a lot of people get confused with those. They find them similar to HOAs, and to a degree they are, to a degree they are not. Well, what is a public improvement district? It's a district that is set up in a county and or city and can encompass more than just one subdivision. So when you're talking about an HOA, they encompass a simple subdivision. Public improvement districts can incorporate an entire zone of a city or an entire city or an entire zone of a county, and which would encompass way more than just one subdivision. What do the public improvement districts do? It's a supplemental way for the city and or county to help with maintenance costs, basically of landscaping, irrigation, city medians, traffic lights, et cetera, all the city services that are in an area. And the way they kind of sell the public improvement district is that if they use these funds to better upkeep a city or county area, then it should lend to higher home values, higher home prices. And so that's kind of how it's sold to the public in a sense, as what's the need of a public improvement district, and that's what they sell it as. And it can be beneficial. It does help supplement the city and or county as far as helping keep an area up and looking good. And but it is totally different than an HOA. For example, I got a client selling a property over in Grand Prairie, and it is in a PID, and it runs about just a little bit less than $300 a year, based on close to about a $200,000 price. It's so many cents per $100 per taxable value, et cetera, and it came up for them to about $300 a year. So it kind of is like an HOA fee to a degree. But here's a couple of differences between public improvement district and an HOA. The type of the property maintained. PID, that's going to be public property. In an HOA, it's private, within the community only. Governed by the city council. Public improvement district, yes, absolutely. In an HOA, absolutely not. Deed restrictions. In an HOA, absolutely. A lot of HOAs restrict the fact that you cannot sell your house to an investor who's going to solely rent it. That is an HOA restriction that a lot of HOAs have, and some investors get surprised when that happens. If they didn't check that out first, then surprise, you got to sell that house to an owner-occupant. PID, no. Enhances public property maintenance. PID, yes, that's the sole purpose of it, basically. HOA, not necessarily, although HOA fees do often go are collected to help maintain the public areas of the HOA. Collected through a mortgage payment with a PID, yes, that can happen. HOA, no. You generally are responsible for paying your HOA fees separately and are not connected to the mortgage payment. With a PID, it can be. So there's a couple differences between the HOA and the PID, and so since that came up recently, I wanted to kind of go over that. Let's get on into mortgage talk, folks. So we're always every week talking about things that come up on a regular basis. You know, mortgage is such a huge part of the real estate industry. The vast majority of transactions are all loan transactions versus cash transactions. And so what the lenders do is just such a huge part of our process. And so we work with the best Rocky Martin folks over at Supreme Lending Rockwall, the website rockymartin.com. That's Rocky with an IE, rockymartin.com. And phone number where they're always standing by for all your mortgage needs is 866-607-5667. And so this week, again, we've got Terry Wagner back in the office. Terry, welcome back.
Good morning, Mike. Glad to be back so that we can finish up our discussion that we started last week.
That's right. We talked about appraisals, inspections, termite, and all kinds of good stuff. And there's never enough time, folks, in the segments that we have and the time that we have allotted. So let's get back into that and try to finish off where we left off last week.
Okay. Well, I wanted to just start with appraisals. The difference between appraisal, inspection, pest inspection, and your survey. So we spent most of our time last week on appraisals. So just to kind of recap that, an appraisal is just an estimate of the value based on lots of things. Location, amenities, structural condition, recent sales in the neighborhood, property size, exterior, interior, lots of extra features, all of that good stuff. The main difference between an appraisal and an inspection is an appraisal is going to be required when you purchase a house.
Sure.
If you're doing a mortgage. An underwriter is going to want to make sure that that property that we're loaning you money on is actually worth what you're paying for it. So an appraisal is going to be required. An inspection is not going to be required, not necessarily. There's one instance, we'll get into that in just a second where it is, but an inspection is not required. But it is, and I'm sure you strongly recommend it, we strongly recommend anyone getting an inspection on a property before they buy it.
Sure, absolutely.
An inspection is just a visual inspection, non-invasive. The inspector is certified, he's trained, he's not going to disrupt the house at all. He's just going in to see what condition the house is in, so that he can provide you with a report that tells you the true condition of that house. Because you walking around the exterior and the interior when you're considering purchasing the home, you're not going to know all the stuff to look at. So an inspector, the things that he needs to take a look at for you and include in your report is the roof. What's the condition of the roof? Attic, any visible insulation that's up in the attic. The plumbing of the home, make sure that it's working as it should. Electrical, heating, cooling systems. The kitchen, they want to know that everything's operating in the kitchen and it's as it should be. The bathrooms, that's a big one. It's always a big one. So we want to make sure all the plumbing and everything's functioning as it should in the bathroom. He's going to take a look at the walls, the ceilings, the floors, windows. There may be cracks in the windows, and that's a problem. So he's going to look at the windows, doors, make sure that they're opening and closing as they should, because that's a condition of foundation issues, or could be if doors are sticking, things like that. Structural components of the home. That's what he's going to be looking at.
Absolutely.
So I mentioned a while ago that there is one exception. We don't require an inspection, but on all VA loans, except for a streamline refi on a VA, you're going to be required to get a pest inspection. So that's a big one, and that kind of comes as a surprise to a lot of people that they're going to have the pest inspection, and it seems to always happen right at the end of the process.
Of course.
So what we're looking for there on an inspection, a pest inspection report, is no conducive conditions. What that means is there are no conditions associated with this home that either show or could show to have infestation of termites. That's what we're looking for. So we want to make sure that that the house is free and clear of that on all VA loans. So that's going to be required. Make sure that that if you're doing a VA loan, that you're getting that pest inspection. And a lot of times when you combine it with your general inspection, it kind of comes all as one cost.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of inspectors out there that are trained and certified to do the wood destroying insect report, and you're right, this comes up a lot, and there's issues that come up with this. And look, it's not uncommon for termites to exist. We're in the South, generally we're drier than the rest of the South, so we don't see it as much as where they do, where the humidity is high, but we still do see it, and so it's not uncommon. My neighbors had it, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that and the rest of Mortgage Talk. Folks, we'll be right back with Inside Real Estate with Mike Kruizinga. We'll see you in a few. With decades of experience, the Rocky Martin Supreme Lending Team will work to close your home loan in 30 days or less. With access to the most competitive interest rates, the most financing options, and the most access to down payment assistance programs, the Rocky Martin Team won't be beating service to you for all your mortgage needs, including purchase and refinance. Trust RockyMartin.com and his team for their reliable and fast loan process. Go to RockyMartin.com or call 972-772-1866 today.
For housing lender, NMLS ID number 211731, 6730 Horizon Road, Suite B, Heath, Texas 75032.
Business owners, did you know that summer is a great time to hire the best people? With your competitors on vacation, there's less competition for quality candidates. But posting your job in one place isn't enough to find them. And when you're short-staffed, there's no time to deal with the dozens of different job sites. Until now. Thanks to ZipRecruiter.com, you can post to 100-plus job sites with a single click. Just post once, and within 24 hours, watch your candidates roll in to ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use interface. Plus, be instantly matched to candidates from over 4 million resumes. ZipRecruiter has been used by over 400,000 businesses, and you can try it right now for free. Try ZipRecruiter and get your perfect candidate this summer before they go to somebody else. Today, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/talkradio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/talkradio. Again, ZipRecruiter.com/talkradio.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey folks, Mike Kruizinga. We're back. It's Inside Real Estate. Website's InsideRealEstateRadio.com, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. We were, before the break, just talking with Terry Wagner of Supreme Lending Rockwall, RockyMartin.com, phone number 866-607-5667. We were talking about pest inspections, and we're talking about the wood destroying insect report, also a.k.a. the termite report, as we always call it. And, this is extremely important, and a lot of inspectors do both. Sometimes they don't. You have to get a separate pest company to come out and do this inspection, but it's very important. And yes, you talked about the no conducive conditions, and that can be a real sticking point. We were talking in the break. I had a client recently. The property, we had a clean termite report to start with, but there were some conducive conditions that needed to be removed, and since it was a VA deal, those items needed to be removed. We had some soil issues and some high foliage around the house. So once that was removed, inspector goes back out there, and he did end up finding some termites on one side of the report, and so that had to be treated, and we had to have evidence that it was treated so that we could proceed with the deal. And also another thing about those termite inspections, that cost gets passed on to the seller.
Correct. Yes, a veteran cannot pay for that expense.
Exactly. And so if you've got a great agent like, I don't know, myself, we just happen to have a vendor, a great inspection vendor who happens to do termite reports for free. So if you buy an inspection with them, they will actually do that wood destroying insect report, that termite report for free as part of the deal. So not only helping you, but we're not surprising the seller with potentially up to an extra $150 termite report cost at the end. So just something to think about there, folks.
Right. Well, and I mentioned that the pest inspection has to be done on all VA loans, but it can certainly be done on every other type of loan, because this is important information for any new home buyer to take in, to have available to them. Each of these reports provides you with some very valuable information, and it's kind of safeguarding and protecting you. You're hiring professionals to tell you the condition of this house before you spend a lot of money buying this house. So you want to make sure that that you get accurate information, good information, and take a look at the information. Don't just put it in a file somewhere. Read the information. Make sure you know what you're buying.
Yeah, exactly, folks. I mean, you're not spending hundreds of dollars on getting some paper to just file away.
Right.
With these inspection reports, you need your inspection report from the inspector. He was licensed by the Texas Real Estate Commission. Same commission that all real estate agents are licensed from. You want your termite report, and I've had people say, well, do I really need the termite report? Well, you don't. Nobody's putting a gun to your head and saying,
right,
get a termite report. But, I mean, if I'm buying a piece of property, yeah, I want to know, does the property have termites? Has it had previous infestations of termites?
Right.
And we're not saying, if the house has termites or that it had previous infestations, that it may not still be a good house. But you just need to know so you can address it. Could it be a crazy bad infection of termites? Yeah, it could be. And if it's really bad, then you might want to turn around and run. But generally speaking, we don't have it that bad in the DFW area. We do have cases of it. Like I said before, my neighbor had it, and I was a little concerned, was it going to come spread my way? But did not. But if it did, you'd treat it and you just deal with it.
Right.
Same thing with bringing out. Folks, the inspector is a generalist. They know about electricity, the mechanics of a house, structural, et cetera, but they are not engineers. They're not electricians. They're not plumbers. So sometimes they will say in their reports, recommend industry professional look at it.
Right.
They can't tell if maybe something's wrong with the roof, so they say, hey, you know what, call a roofer out. And in that case, well, maybe you need to spend a couple $100 to bring the roofer out.
Right.
Maybe they see some visual cues that the property maybe has some movement. Well, all of our houses have movement. They have settling. But if there's enough visual cues for them to be concerned about it, they may say, hey, you might want to have an engineer come out. And so you know what? The peace of mind is probably worth the $300-400 to bring an engineer out and take a look at it.
Right. It's our job. Yours is the real estate agent, Mike, and mine is the mortgage professional, to make sure that the house they're buying is sound and a good investment for them and their family.
Absolutely.
And so you touched on cost for a little bit, or just a moment ago. So I wanted to kind of give an overview of the costs of these different reports that you're going to be getting. The appraisal report, again, a must to get a mortgage on a loan. It's going to depend on location and acreage that you're buying. So you can spend anywhere from $400 up to $1,000 if you've got quite a bit of acreage that you're purchasing as well. An inspection, my experience, I don't deal a lot with the inspection, but my experience with that is anywhere from like $250 to $500. Is that about right, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. That's very bang on.
Right.
And something to remember, folks, is all inspectors have to fill out the exact same criteria because
right,
it's a state Texas Real Estate Commission report that they have to fill out. And so, if you think one company's bigger than another, et cetera, maybe you go for the big brand name in whatever you do. You may not necessarily have to worry about that with this because they all have to fill out the same report. And however, every inspector does have their own experience level, et cetera.
Sure. And then to add that pest inspection, if you don't have the company that Mike was referring to, you can probably spend somewhere around $75, maybe $125 on a pest inspection to add to your inspection fee. Mm-hmm. So then the last report that I wanted to just touch on before we run out of time today is the survey. A survey is going to be conducted to just kind of let you know the land boundaries, building locations. It's going to let you know on your property, the buildings, the sheds, the fences, the easements. Sometimes that can be an issue if there are easements onto your property. And it gives you a boundary of what you're buying, draws the lines for the property that you are actually buying.
Exactly.
You're looking probably 400 and up, again, depending on where the property is and the acreage that's going to go along with it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Had one that was about an 18-acre property, and that survey ran about $1,800.
Right. They can be kind of expensive when you've got some acreage, that's for sure.
Yep.
So go back just a little bit because as a mortgage person, the most important report to us is going to be that appraisal report. So we'll touch on that just as we wrap up today. If you're a seller, things that you can do to improve your appraisal value. Clean your house. That's it. It seems simple, but
right.
but may not be a lot to a lot of people. Pick up things. Make sure the house is in order. Perform any minor repairs. This goes into also if you're just doing a refinance. You're wanting the most money out of your appraisal report so that you can, let's say you're doing a cash out refinance. Perform those minor repairs if you've got some of those to do. Keep your pets locked up. An appraiser doesn't want to have to deal with pets while he's walking around.
Doesn't
your
want to
house.
be attacked.
No, doesn't want that.
Not ideally.
And then obviously be honest and friendly with your appraiser as he enters your house and walks through your house and measures it. And you want to make sure that that he has access to all parts of the house.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't want to impede the appraiser. By the way, folks, the appraiser, is an important person. So you want them to have ease of access.
Right.
And you don't want to put them in a bad mood, do you?
No, you do not. No,
because they do control what your sales price could be.
It's a big part of the process, that's for sure.
Yeah. So you might not want to make them mad. In fact, you might want to bake some cookies. And
right.
get some coffee going
yeah.
and, bottled water. What would you like,
That's right.
Mr. or Mrs. Appraiser?
That's exactly right.
So absolutely true. And these are all good things to think about. And these are some great differences between several of the items. One thing I wanted to go back to on the inspections, a lot of inspectors will charge additional fees for add-ons, and a pool could be an add-on.
Yes.
A hot tub could be an add-on. A sprinkler system could be considered an add-on. A septic system could be considered an add-on. So you need to think about these things when you're getting an inspector, and that's why I work with one particular company in pretty much as many cases as I can, or when folks are asking me, who's good, I always say this company, and you can give me a call and I'll get you their information. I don't want to really get into it on air, but I'll get you that information. You go to InsideRealEstateRadio.com, connect with me. I'll get you their information. They don't charge add-on fees for that. It's a flat fee based on the square footage of the house. They're going to come out. They're going to check the pool, sprinkler system, septic. They're going to check all of those things for one fee. Not to mention you're going to get your termite wood-destroying insect report for free. And these guys are absolute professionals. They've done an investment property for me personally, and these guys are just really, really good. So like I said, in the past, we always work with the best. We do. I can get you their information absolutely and get you taken care of. What else are we talking about, Terry?
Yeah, I was just going to absolutely work with an agent such as Mike that's going to go through that inspection report with you, not just deliver it to you and say, yeah, let me know if you have any questions. You want to deal with a real estate agent that's going to go through that report with you and pick out areas of concern, or tell you, no, we've picked a great house. We've got it wrapped up.
Yeah, exactly, and that's so true. I mean, I do go over the report. I try to go over it with the client in person. But depending on their schedule, we might have to go over it on the computer by phone. And look, it can be stressful to look at an inspection report because there's a laundry list of things on there. The Texas Real Estate Commission requires the inspector to basically list out anything and everything. So for example, there's always a leak under every sink, right?
Right.
Even if it's a minor drip. And so when all those things add up in a report, you're like, oh, wow, this house is going to fall down tomorrow. Well, and then you look at it and you're like, oh, wow, this is just all typical wear and tear stuff.
Right.
And that's not what we're looking for. We're not looking for the do-it-yourself, Home Depot repairs. Those are all stuff that we can do, and it's just part of buying a house, part of owning a house. What we're looking for is serious potential issues in structural, mechanical, electrical, the roof, etc. And so those major issues are the issues that we want to address with the seller, either in price and or getting them repaired. Now, just because, the dishwasher is old, doesn't mean there's something wrong with it.
Right.
As long as it is functioning, well, then it's functioning.
Mm-hmm.
Same with the stove, et cetera. And in a lot of these homes you're going to buy in DFW are dated. We were heavily built out in the 70s, 80s, and 90s here in the DFW area, with the exception of, Frisco and McKinney, which is all fairly recent builds. Right. The rest of DFW is been built out fairly long time ago. So we have properties that are older, but as long as they're in functioning order, then the seller does not have to do anything.
Right. One other thing that I wanted to add real quick, Mike, is you as the real estate agent want to go through that report. I, as the mortgage professional, do not.
Correct.
So do not send me your inspection report.
Correct. Absolutely. And if your agent has sent the inspection report to your lender, well, shame on them.
That's
they
right.
don't know what they're doing. You need to get with Terry Wagner over at Supreme Lending. You need to get with me over here. Folks, it's been Terry Wagner with Supreme Lending Rockwall. RockyMartin.com is the website. Folks, it's Inside Real Estate with Mike Kruizinga. We'll be back next week, 8 a.m. Sunday mornings. Always tune in. Have a great week. See you then. Neither the hosts nor the guests or contributors of the show Inside Real Estate with Mike Kruizinga are attorneys, CPAs, tax advisors, or investment advisors, and are not providing legal advice during the course of the show. If you need during the course of the show. If you need during the course of the show. If you need during the course of the show. If you need during the course of the show.